last minute. Yes? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome everyone to our Sunday Krishna book reading to Srila Prabhupada. And as we always do, let us offer our respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and to each other. Nama Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Paskachade Shatarane, and to each other. Vanchakalpadurubhischa Kripasindu Bhievacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So you can take out your Krishna books, all of you online, and you can note the subtitles at the bottom of the page. That will help you to read along with us in English. We're on chapter 11, killing the demons Vatsasura and Bakasura. When the twin Arjuna trees fell to the ground, making a sound like the falling of thunderbolts, all the inhabitants of Gokul, including Nanda Maharaj, immediately came to the spot. They were very much astonished to see how the two great trees had suddenly fallen. Because they could find no reason for their falling down, they were puzzled. When they saw children Krishna bound up to the wooden mortar, when they saw child Krishna bound up to the wooden mortar by the ropes of Mother Yashoda, they thought it must have been caused by some demon. Otherwise, how is it possible? At the same time, they were very much perturbed because such uncommon incidents were always happening to child Krishna. While the cowherd men were thus contemplating, the small children who were playing there informed the men that the trees had fallen because Krishna had pulled the wooden mortar with the ropes binding him. Krishna came in between the two trees, they explained, and the wooden mortar was topsy-turvied and stuck in between the trees. Krishna pulled the rope and the trees fell down. When the trees fell down, two very dazzling men came out of the trees, and they had said something to Krishna.
Most of the cowherd men did not believe the statements of the children. They could not believe that such things were at all possible. Some of the men, however, believed them and told Nanda Maharaj, "Your child is different from all other children. He just might have done it." Nanda Maharaj smiled to hear about the extraordinary abilities of his son. He came forward and untied the knot just to free his wonderful child. After being freed by Nanda Maharaj, Krishna was taken onto the laps of the elder gopis. They took him away to the courtyard of the house and began to clap, praising his wonderful activities. Krishna danced along with their clappings, just like an ordinary child. The Supreme Lord Krishna, being completely controlled by the gopis, sang and danced just like a puppet in their hands.
Sometimes Mother Yashoda used to ask Krishna to bring her a wooden plank for sitting. Although the wooden plank was too heavy to be carried by a child, still somehow or other Krishna would bring it to his mother. Sometimes his father, while worshipping Narayana, would ask him to bring his wooden slippers, and Krishna, with great difficulty, would put the slippers on his head and bring them to his father. When he was asked to lift some heavy article and was unable to lift it, he would simply move his arms. In this way, daily at every moment, he was the reservoir of all pleasure for his parents. The Lord was exhibiting such childish dealings with the inhabitants of Vrindavana because he wanted to show the great philosophers and sages searching after the absolute truth how the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead is controlled by and subjected to the desires of his pure devotees.
One day, a fruit vendor came before the house of Nanda Maharaj. Upon hearing the vendor call, "If anyone wants fruits, please come and take them from me." Child Krishna immediately took some grains in his palms and went to get fruits in exchange. In those days, exchange was by water. Therefore, Krishna might have seen his parents acquire fruits and other things by watering grain, and so he imitated. But his palms were very small, and he was not very careful to hold the grains tight, so he was dropping them. The vendor who came to sell fruits saw this and was very much captivated by the beauty of the Lord. So she immediately accepted whatever few grains were left in his palms and filled his hands with fruits. In the meantime, the vendor saw that her whole basket of fruit had become filled with jewels. The Lord is the bestower of all benedictions. If someone gives something to the Lord, he is not the loser, he is the gainer by 1,000,000 times.
One day, Lord Krishna, the liberator of the twin Arjun trees, was playing with Balram and the other children on the bank of the Yamuna. And because it was already late in the morning, Rohini, the mother of Balram, went to call them back home. But Balram and Krishna were so engrossed in playing with their friends that they did not wish to go back. They just engaged themselves in playing more and more. When Rohini was unable to take them back home, she went home and sent Mother Yashoda to call them again. Mother Yashoda was so affectionate toward her son that as soon as she came out to call him back home, her breasts filled up with milk. She loudly cried, "My dear child, please come back home. Your time for lunch is already past." She then said, "My dear Krishna, oh my dear lotus-eyed child, please come and suck my breast. You have played enough. You must be very hungry, my dear little child. You must be tired from playing for so long." She also addressed Balram thus, "My dear Ram, the glory of your family, my dear child, please come back with your younger brother Krishna immediately. You have been engaged in playing since early morning and you must be very tired. Please come back and take your lunch at home. Your father, Nandraj, is waiting for you. He has to eat, so you must come back so that he can eat."
As soon as Krishna and Balram heard that Nanda Maharaj was waiting for them and could not take the food in their absence, they started to return. Their playmates complained, "Krishna is leaving us just at the point when our playing in the summit. Next time we shall not allow him to leave." His playmates then threatened not to allow him to play with them again. Krishna became afraid and missed instead to going back home. He went back again to play with the boys. At that time, Mother Yashoda scolded the children and told Krishna, "My dear Krishna, do you think that you are a street boy? You have no home. Please come back to your home. I see that your body has become very dirty from playing since early morning. Now come home and take your bath. Besides, today is your birthday ceremony, therefore, you should come back home and give cows in charity to the Brahmins. Don't you? You see how your playmates are decorated with the ornaments by their mothers. You should also be cleansed and decorated with the nice dress and ornaments. Please therefore come back, take your bath, dress yourself nicely, and then again you may go on playing.
In this way, Mother Yashoda called back Lord Krishna and Balaram, who were worshipable by great demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva. She was thinking of them as her children. When Mother Yashoda's children, Krishna and Balaram, came home, she bathed them very nicely and dressed them with ornaments. She then called for the Brahmanas, and through her children she gave many cows and charity for the occasion of Krishna's birthday. In this way, she performed the birthday ceremony of Krishna at home.
Keep going. It was a short paragraph. No. Keep going. It was a short paragraph. After.
After this incident, all the elder cowherd men assembled together, and Nanda Maharaj presided. They began to consult among themselves how to stop the great disturbance in the Mahavan on account of demons. In this meeting, Upananda, the brother of Nanda Maharaj, was present. He was considered to be learned and experienced, and he was a well-wisher of Krishna and Balaram. He was a leader, and he addressed the meeting as follows: My dear friends, now you should leave here for another place, because we are continuously finding that great demons are coming here to disturb the peaceful situation, and they are especially here to disturb the peaceful situation. They are specially attempting to kill the small children. Just consider Putana and Krishna. It was simply by the grace of the Lord Hari that Krishna was saved from the hands of such a great demons. Next, the whirlwind demons took Krishna away into the sky, but by grace of the Lord Hari, he was saved, and the demons fell down on the stone slab and died. Very recently, this child was playing between two trees, and the trees fell down voluntarily, and yet there is no injury to the child. So the Lord Hari saved him again. Just imagine the calamity of this child or any other child playing with him were crushed by the falling tree. Another paragraph. Continue. Considering all these incidents, you must conclude that this place is no longer safe. Let us leave. We have all been saved from different calamities by the grace of the Lord Hari. Now you should be cautious and leave this place and reside somewhere where you can live peacefully. I think that you should all go to the forest known as Vrindavan, where just now there were newly grown plants and herbs. It is very suitable for pasturing ground for the own cows, and we and our families, the gopis with their children, can very peacefully live there. Near Vrindavan is Govardhana hill, which is very beautiful, and there are newly grown grass and fodder for the animals, so there will be no difficulty in living there. I therefore suggest that we start immediately for the beautiful place, as there is no need to waste any more time. Let us prepare all our carts immediately, and if you like, let us go, keeping all the cows in front.
On hearing the statements of Upananda, all the cowherdsmen immediately agreed. Let us immediately go there. Everyone then loaded all their household furniture and utensils onto the carts and prepared to go to Vrindavan. All the children, women, and old men of the village were arranged on seats, and the cowherdsmen equipped themselves with bows and arrows to follow the carts. All the cows and bulls were placed in the front along with their calves, and the men with their bows and arrows surrounded their herbs and carts and began to blow on their horns and bugles. In this way, with tumultuous sound, they started for Vrindavan.
And who can describe the damsels of Braja? They were all seated on the carts and were very beautifully dressed with ornaments and costly carts and costly saris. They chanted the pastimes of child Krishna as usual. Mother Yashoda and Mother Rohini were seated on a separate cart, and Krishna and Balaram were seated on their laps. While Mother Rohini and Yashoda were riding on the cart, they talked to Krishna and Balaram, and feeling the pleasure of such talks, they looked very, very beautiful.
In this way, after reaching Vrindavan, where everyone lives eternally, very peacefully and happily, they encircled Vrindavan, drew all the cows together in a half circle, and in this way constructed a temporary residence. When Krishna and Balaram saw the beautiful appearance of Vrindavan, Govardhan Hill, and the banks of the river Yamuna, they felt very happy. As they grew up, they began talking with their parents and others in childish language, and thus they gave great pleasure to all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Soon Krishna and Balaram had grown sufficiently to be given charge of the cows. Cowherd boys from the very beginning of their childhood are trained to take care of the cows, and their first responsibility is to take care of the little cows. So along with the other little older boys, Krishna and Balaram went onto the pasturing ground and took charge of the cows, and there they played with their playmates. While taking charge of the cows, sometimes the two brothers played on their flutes, and sometimes they played with amalka fruits and bale fruits, just as small children play with balls. Sometimes they danced and made tinkling sounds of their ankle bells. Sometimes they made themselves into bulls and cows by covering themselves with blankets. Thus Krishna and Balaram played. The two brothers also used to imitate the sound of bulls and cows and play at bullfighting. Sometimes they used to imitate the sounds of various animals and birds. In this way, they enjoyed their childhood pastimes apparently like ordinary mundane children.
Once, when Krishna and Balarama were playing on the bank of the Yamuna, a demon of the name Vatsasura assumed the shape of a calf and came there intending to kill the brothers. By taking the shape of a calf, the demon could mingle with the other calves. Krishna, however, specifically noticed this, and he immediately alerted Balarama about the entrance of the demon. Both brothers then silently approached him. Krishna caught hold of the demon calf by the two hind legs and tail, whipped him around very forcefully, and threw him at into a tree. The demon lost his life and fell down from the top of the tree to the ground. When the demon lay dead on the ground, all the playmates of Krishna congratulated him. Well done, well done. And the demigods in the sky showered flowers with great satisfaction. In this way, the maintainers of the complete creation, Krishna and Balarama, used to take care of the calves every day, beginning in the morning, and thus they enjoyed their childhood pastimes as cowherd boys in Vrindavan.
One day, all the cowherd boys went to the bank of the river Yamuna to water their calves. When the calves drank water from the Yamuna, the boys also drank. After drinking, when they were sitting on the bank of the river, they saw a huge animal which looked something like a heron and was big as a hill. Its stomach was strong as a thunderbolt. When they saw that unusual animal, they became afraid of it. The name of this beast was Bakasur, and he was a friend of Kansas. He appeared on the scene suddenly and immediately attacked Krishna with his pointed, sharp beak and quickly swallowed him up. When Krishna was thus swallowed, all the boys, headed by Balaram, became almost breathless, as if they had died. But when the Bakasur demon was swallowing up Krishna, he felt a warning, fiery sensation in his throat. This was due to the glowing effulgence of Krishna. The demon quickly threw Krishna up and tried to kill him by pinching him in his beak. Bakasur did not know that although Krishna was playing the part of child of Nanda Maharaj, he was still the original father of Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. Mother Yashoda's child, who is the reservoir of all pleasure for the demigods and who is the maintainer of saintly persons, cut hold of the great gigantic heron by the two halves of his beak, and before his cowherd boyfriend bifurcated his mouth, just as a child very easily splits a blade of grass from the sky. The denizens of the heavenly planets showered flowers like the malika, the most fragrant of all flowers, as a token of their congratulations. Accompanying the showers of flowers was a vibrating of bugles, drums, and conch shells.
When the boys saw the showering of flowers and heard the celestial sounds, they were struck with wonder. And when they saw Krishna freed from the mouth of the great demon Bakasur, all of them, including Balram, were so pleased that it seemed as if they had regained their very source of life. As soon as they saw Krishna coming toward them, they, one after another, embraced the son of Nand and held him to their chests. After this, they assembled all the calves under their charge and began to return home.
I lost it.
From here.
When they arrived home, they spoke of the wonderful activities of the son of the Nanda. When gopis and cowherd men all heard the story of the boys, they felt great happiness because naturally they loved Krishna. But by hearing about his glories and victories, activities, they became still more affectionate toward him, thinking that child Krishna had been saved from the mouth of death. They looked upon his face with great love and affection. They were full of anxiety and could not turn their faces toward from the vision of Krishna. the gopis and the men began to converse amongst themselves about how wonderful it was that child Krishna had been attacked in so many ways and so many times, but so many demons, and yet the demons themselves have been killed, and Krishna had remained uninjured. They continued to converse amongst themselves about how so many great demons in such fights, fierce bodies had attacked Krishna to kill him, but by the grace of Hari had not been able to cause even a slight injury. Rather they have died like small flies in the fire. Thus they remembered the words of Garga Muni, who had foretold by dint of his vast knowledge of the Vedas and astrology that this boy would be attacked by many demons. Now they are actually seeing that this was coming true, word for word.
All the cowherd men, including Nanda Maharaj, used to talk of the wonderful activities of the Lord Krishna and Balaram. They were always so much absorbed in those talk that they forgot the threefold miseries of the material existence. This is the efforts of Krishna consciousness. What was enjoyed 5,000 years ago by Nanda Maharaj can still be enjoyed by Krishna conscious persons simply by talking about the transcendental pastime of Krishna and his associates. Thus, Balaram and Krishna enjoyed their childhood pastimes, imitating Lord Ramachandra's monkey, who constructed the bridge over the ocean, and Hanuman, who jumped over the water to clean. They used to imitate such pastime among their friends and so happily passed their childhood life. Thus ends the Bhakti-Vedanta purport of the 11th chapter of Krishna killing to the demons Bhattasura and Bakashura.
The killing of the Aghasura demon. Once the Lord desired to go early in the morning with all his cowherd boyfriends to the forest, where they were to assemble together and take lunch. As soon as he got up from bed, he blew his buffalo horn, bugle, and called all his friends together. Keeping the calves before them, they started for the forest in a great procession. In this way, Lord Krishna assembled thousands of his boyfriends. They were each equipped with a stick, flute, and horn, as well as a lunch bag, and each of them was taking care of thousands of calves. All the boys appeared very jolly and happy in that excursion. Each and every one of them, including Krishna, was attentive to his personal calves as he herded them in the different places in the forest. The boys were fully decorated with various kinds of golden ornaments, yet out of sporting propensities, they began to pick up flowers, leaves, twigs, peacock feathers, and red clay from different places in the forest, and further decorate themselves in different ways. While passing through the forest, one boy stole another boy's lunch package and passed it to a third. And when the boy whose lunch package was stolen came to know of it, he tried to take it back. But the boy who had it threw it to another boy. This sportive playing went on amongst the boys as childhood pastimes.
Very cool. Amazing.
When Lord Krishna went ahead to a distant place in order to see some specific scenery, the boys behind him ran to try to catch up and be the first to touch him. So there was a great competition. One would say, "I will go there and touch Krishna," and another would say, "Oh, you cannot go. I'll touch Krishna first." Some of them played on their flutes or vibrated bugles made of buffalo horn. Some of them gladly followed the peacocks and imitated the onomatopoeic sounds of the cuckoo. While the birds were flying in the sky, the boys ran after the birds' shadows along the ground, and tried to follow their exact courses. Some of them went to the monkeys and silently sat down by them, and some of them imitated the dancing of the peacocks. Some of them caught monkeys by the tail and played with them. And when the monkeys jumped into a tree, the boys followed. When a monkey showed its face and teeth, a boy imitated and showed his teeth to the monkey. Some of the boys played with the frogs on the bank of the Yamuna and went out of fear. The frogs jumped into the water, and the boys immediately dove in after them. And they would come out of the water when they saw their own shadows and stand imitating, making caricatures and laughing. They would also go to an empty well and make loud sounds, and when the echo came back, they would call it ill names and laugh.
So much fun. As stated personally by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and in the Bhagavad-Gita, he is realized proportionately by transcendentalists as Brahman, Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here, in confirmation of the same statement, Lord Krishna, who awards the impersonalists the pleasure of Brahman realization by his bodily effulgence, also gives pleasure to the devotees as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are under the spell of the external energy, Maya, take him only as a beautiful child. Yet, he gave full transcendental pleasure to the cowherd boys who played with him. Only after accumulating heaps of pious activities were those boys promoted to personally associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who can estimate the transcendental fortune of the residents of Vrindavan? They were personally seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, he whom many yogis cannot find even after undergoing severe austerities, although he is sitting within their hearts. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. One may search for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the pages of the Vedas and Upanishads, but it is difficult to find him there. However, one who is fortunate enough to associate with a devotee can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. After accumulating pious activities in many, many previous lives, the cowherd boys were seeing Krishna face to face and playing with him as friends. They could not understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they were playing as intimate friends with intense love for him.
When Lord Krishna was enjoying his childhood pastimes with his boyfriends, one Aghasur demon became very impatient. He was unable to tolerate seeing Krishna play so happily and therefore he appeared before the boys, intending to kill them all. This Aghasur was so dangerous that even the denizens of heaven were afraid of him. Although the denizens of heaven drank nectar daily to prolong their lives, they were afraid of this Aghasur and were wondering when will the demon be killed. The denizens used to drink nectar to become immortal, but actually they were not confident of their immortality. On the other hand, the boys who were playing with Krishna had no fear of the demons. They were free of fear. Any material arrangement for protecting oneself from death is always unsure. But if one is in Krishna consciousness, then immortality is confidently assured. The demon Aghasur appeared before Krishna, and his friends Aghasur happened to be the younger brother of Putana and Bakasur, and he thought, Krishna has killed my brother and sister, now I shall kill him along with all his friends and cows. Aghasur was instigated by Kansa, so he had come with determination. Aghasur also thought that when he should offer grains and water in memory of his father, brother and sister and kill Krishna and all the coward boys, then automatically all the inhabitants of Vrindavan would die. Generally, for the householder, the children are life and breath force. When all the children die, then naturally the parents also die on account of strong affection for them.
Aghasura, thus deciding to kill all the inhabitants of Vrindavana, expanded himself by the yogic siddhi called Mahima. The demons are generally expert in achieving almost all kinds of mystic powers. In the yoga system, by the perfection called Mahima Siddhi, one can expand himself as he desires. The demon Aghasura expanded himself up to 8 miles and assumed the shape of a very fat serpent. Having attained this wonderful body, he stretched his mouth open just like a mountain cave, desiring to swallow all the boys at once, including Krishna and Balarama. He sat on the path.
The demon, in the shape of a big fat serpent, expanded his lips from land to sky. His lower lip was touching the ground, and his upper lip was touching the clouds. His jaws appeared like a big mountain cave without limitation, and his teeth appeared just like mountain summits. His tongue appeared to be a broad traffic way, and he was breathing just like a hurricane. His eyes were blazing like fire. At first, the boys thought that the demon was a statue, but after examining it, they saw that it was a big serpent lying down on the road and widening his mouth. The boys began to talk among themselves. Dear friends, this figure appears to be a great animal, and he is sitting in such a posture just to swallow us all. Just see, is it not a big snake that was widening his mouth to eat all of us?
One of them said, Yes, what you say is true. This animal's upper lip appears to be just like the sunshine, and its lower lip is just like the reflection of red sunshine on the ground. Dear friends, just look to the right and left hand side of the mouth of the animal. Its mouth appears to be like a big mountain cave, and its height cannot be estimated. The chin is also raised just like a mountain summit. That long highway appears to be its tongue, and inside the mouth it is as dark as in a mountain cave. The hot wind that is blowing like a hurricane is his breathing, and the fishy bad smell coming out from his mouth is the smell of his intestines. Then they further consulted among themselves. If we all at one time entered into the mouth of this great serpent, how could it possibly swallow all of us? And even if it were to swallow all of us at once, it could not swallow Krishna. Krishna will immediately kill him, as he did Bagasur. Talking in this way, all the boys looked at the beautiful lotus like face of Krishna and they began to clap and smile. And so they marched forward and entered the mouth of the gigantic serpent.
Meanwhile, Krishna, who is the super soul within everyone's heart, could understand that the big status figure was demon. The boys did not know that this, however, and thus, while Krishna planning how to stop the destruction of his intimate friends, all the boys, along with their slaves, entered the mouth of the serpent. But Krishna did not enter. The demon was awaiting Krishna's entrance and he was thinking, everyone has entered except Krishna, who has killed my brother and sister. Krishna is the assurance of safety to everyone. But when he saw that his friends were already out of his hands and were lying within the belly of the great serpent, he became momentarily aggrieved. He also struck with wonder at how the external energy works so wonderfully. He then began to consider how he could kill the demon and at the same time save the boys and the calves. Although there was no factual concern of Krishna's part, he was thinking like that. Finally, after some deliberation, he also entered the mouth of the demon. When Krishna entered, all the demigods who had gathered to see the fun and who were hiding within the clouds expressed their feelings with the words, Alas, alas. At the same time, all the friends of Aghasura, especially Kamsa, who were all accustomed to eating flesh and blood, expressed their jubilation, understanding that Krishna has also entered the mouth of the demon.
While the demon was trying to smash Krishna and its companions, Krishna heard the demigods crying, Alas, alas, and he immediately began to expand himself within the throat of the demons. Although he had a gigantic body, the demon choked by the expanding of Krishna. His big eyes moved voluntarily and is quickly suffocated. His life air could not come out from any shores, and ultimately it burns out of a hole in the upper part of his skull. Thus his life air passed off. After the demons was dead, Krishna, with his transcendental glance alone, brought all the boys and calves back to consciousness and came with them out of the mouth of the demons. While Krishna was within the mouth of Aghasura, the demon's spirit soul came out like a dazzling light, illuminating all the direction and waited in the sky. As soon as Krishna came out of the mouth of the demons with his calves and friends, that glittering effulgent light immediately merged into the body of Krishna within the vision of all the demigods.
the demigods became overwhelmed with joy and showered flowers on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krsna, and thus they worship him. The denizens of heaven dance in jubilation, and the denizens in Gandharva Loka offer various kinds of prayers. Drummers beat drums in jubilation. The Brahmanas recited Vedic hymns, and all the devotees of the Lord chanted the words Jai, Jai. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Lord Brahma heard those auspicious vibrations, which sounded throughout the higher planetary system, he immediately came down to see what had happened. He saw that the demon was killed, and he was struck with wonder at the uncommon, glorious pastimes of the personality of Godhead. The gigantic mouth of the demon remained in an open position for many days and gradually dry up. It remained a spot of pleasure pastimes for all the cowherd boys.
The killing of Aghasur took place when Krishna and all his boyfriends were under 5 years old. Children under 5 years old are called Komara. From 5 years up to the 10th year, they are called Poganda. And from the 10th year up to the 15th year, they are called Keshora. After the 15th year, boys are called youths. For 1 year, there was no discussion of the incident of the Aghasur demon in the village of Raj. But when the boys attained their 6th year, they informed their parents of the incident with great wonder. For Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is far greater than such demigods as Lord Brahma, it is not at all difficult to award one the opportunity of merging with his eternal body. This he awarded to Aghasur. Aghasur was certainly the most sinful living entity, and it is not possible for the sinful to merge into the existence of the Absolute Truth. But in this particular case, because Krishna entered into the Aghasur's body, the demon became fully cleansed of all sinful reactions. Persons constantly thinking of the eternal form of the Lord in the shape of the deity or in the shape of a mental form are awarded the transcendental benediction of entering into the kingdom of God and associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, we can just imagine the elevated position of someone like Aghasur, into whose body the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna personally entered. Great sages, meditators, and devotees constantly keep the form of the Lord within their hearts, or they see the deity form of the Lord in the temples. In that way, they become liberated from all material contamination, and at the end of the body, enter into the kingdom of God. This perfection is possible simply by keeping the form of the Lord within the mind. But in that case of Aghasur, the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally entered. Aghasur's position was therefore greater than the ordinary devotees or the greatest yogis.
Krishna. Maharaj Parikshit, who was engaged in hearing the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna, who saved the life of Maharaj Parikshit when he was in the womb of his mother, became more and more interested to hear about him. And thus he questioned the sage Shukadeva Goswami, who was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam before the king. King Parikshit was a bit astonished to understand that the killing of the Aghasura demon was not discussed for 1 year until after the boys attained the Poganda age. Maharaj Parikshit was very inquisitive to learn about this, for he was sure that such an incident was due to the working of Krishna's different energies.
Generally, the Kshatriyas or the administrative class are always busy with their political affairs, and they have very little chance to hear about the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna. But while Parikshit Maharaj was hearing these transcendental pastimes, he considered himself to be very fortunate, because not only was he hearing Krishna's pastimes, but he was doing so from the Shukadeva Goswamis, the greatest authority on Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus, being requested by Maharaj Parikshit, Shukadeva Goswami continued to speak about the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna in the matter of his form, qualities, fame, and paraphernalia. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 12th chapter of the Krishna, the killing of the Aghasura demon. Hari Bol.
So, my dear devotees, that concludes our 1 hour of reading Krishna book to Srila Prabhupada here in Vrindavan. As we always do, let us offer respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and to each other. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhujale Srimati Bhakti-Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskacha Deshatarane, and to each other. Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Krishna book. So mark your places, and next week we'll read chapter 13, Stealing of the Boys and the Calves by Lord Brahma. Hari Bol. That was the last chapter.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,